Hi, everybody. Let's get started. We'll give everybody just a minute to arrive, but it's good to see everyone. So today we're actually going to start making our game, and you'll see what we're going to be making as we make it. And what I've done is I've tried to put together something that we can do just over the next 2 days, and we'll actually have something that runs and it works. And I have to tell you, it's not going to be like the most amazing game ever. It's not like we're making the next Fortnite. We're making something really simple just so you can see how the structure of a game works and you can get the kind of concepts. And then you're totally fine to like build on it and make it bigger and better and that kind of thing. And if you need help with that, just let me know and I will be happy to help you. But we at least want to get something working and making something into an actual like game with like a lose and a win and that kind of thing. Okay, so let's get started. Oh, Austin said he found my YouTube channel. Yes, if you followed the link that's over here, I think it's up here where it says Pico 8 top down. That is a link to my YouTube channel, which has a tutorial on making a top-down adventure game. Shrishti wants to know, can I just watch? Yes, you can just watch. Your these will be recorded. So if it's something where you feel like you want to follow along later at a slower pace, that is totally fine. If you want to do that, I'm fine with that. Okay, so we're going to get started now. So everybody should have Pico 8 up and running. It should look like this. And the first thing I'm going to make you do is save, because it's really important to save while you're working. So we're going to call this game Coin Race. So we're going to save space Coin Race. And we'll hit enter. It's not a racing game. It's just kind of like the race to the coin. So I figured we call it that. You can call it something else, but you just have to remember what you call it. So we're going to type save Coin Race so that it's saved. And now from this point forward, if you hit Control S, or if you're on a Mac, you can hit Command S. It saves it. So if you notice when I hit Control S or Command S, it hits, a little pop-up comes up saying I saved. You should always do that after you write some code, just so you don't lose anything. It's a good way to make sure nothing gets lost. Okay, so hit escape and you'll get into the code editor. And the first thing that we're going to do is we need to make 3 special functions. So again, to get to this, if you were here, hit escape and you'll come right in here. If you hit escape again, it goes right back. So you just hit it again. Boop, 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 boop. So hit escape and make sure you're here. So if you're here, just type save and then the name of what you want your game to be. And then once you're Hartley says it doesn't let me save it. What does it tell you when you try to save it? Just want to make sure everybody can save before we get started. Well, before you can hit Control S, Hartley, or Command S, you have to type in save and then the name of the game. Like in this case, we're calling it Coin Race, but we already typed it, so it's already saved. Okay, good. Noah, I will be happy to help you with your game from last time. After this, you can just send me an email and I will help you out. But for now, we're just going to do this game because it's a little different than what we did last time. So after you've typed save, hit escape. So now we should be at a blank code screen. And we're going to need to type in 3 special functions that are going to be used for our game. So type function and then underscore, which is shift dash, which is right next to the 0 key, underscore init. And this stands for initialize, which means to start something off. And so give yourself some space in here. So it should be underscore init. It's really important you put the underscore and then init and then put parenthesis, parenthesis. This one will not be a platformer. This will be a top-down game. Believe it or not, platformers are one of the hardest types of games to make well. I've been doing game development for many years, and I was very surprised to learn that. The next one we need to make is called update. Oops, let me move my mouse so you can read it. It's underscore update. It's really important you put the underscore. Remember, you do shift dash, which is right next to the 0 key. We need the space between function and update. It should be function space underscore init parenthesis parenthesis. Exactly as it shows on here. We could probably do a platformer, but it does take a little bit of time. And so we'll have to see if we can do that. So the next one is draw. And we're going to add this one. So now we have 3 special functions here. Init, update, draw. Now init, remember that stands for initialize, which is starting something off. So the way this works is when you run your game, init happens 1 time at the beginning of the game. Then automatically update gets run 30 times a second. So it'll run update, update, update. It's like 30 times a second. It's going to run the update function. But after it runs the update, it'll do draw. So really what's happening, the shortcut for end, if you're at the end of the line, if you hit, let's say you don't have this here, you can hit Shift Enter. If you have the right Pico 8, if you have the most up-to-date Pico 8 version. If you don't, Shift Enter won't do anything. But if you do, you can just hit Shift Enter and it will add it for you. So what's really happening is it does init, update, draw, update, draw, update, draw, update, draw, update, draw. And after it does draw, it just goes right back and does update again. So it does these 2 30 times a second. Does this one at the beginning, init at the beginning, and then this 30 times a second, and this right after update. So init, update, draw, update, draw, update, draw, until your game is over. Elijah, we're not going to cover how to update Pico 8 right now. You don't have to worry about having the latest version right now. So if you send me an email, then I will help you get it updated. Milo, good to see you. So we are just starting to write some code. Now, before you write some code, Milo, make sure that you save your game. So if you started out here, I want you to do this, where it says save coin race. So just type in save coin race from the beginning of Pico 8. And then after you've done that, hit escape, and you go here. And then you need to type in these 3 functions, really important functions. Okay. Shanna, let me look. You said, I will see what you sent. Okay, so Milo, did you get those instructions? Just want to make sure. Make sure everybody saves. Now, after you've typed this in, I want you to hit Control S or Command S so that you save. Really important. Let's get all the stuff that we've typed so far saved. All right. Those little lines you see, don't worry about them. I just turned them on so that you can see where I have spaces. But don't worry that you can't see them on yours. That's totally fine. I went and turned on a special function just so that you could see those, but it's just to help you out. It doesn't, but don't worry if you don't see them on yours. Okay, so in the init function, this is important. This is where we're gonna start adding some variables, okay? So the first variable we need is whether our game is over or not. So you're gonna type game over equals false, because of course, when we start our game, when we initialize our game, the game is not over. So we're gonna store false in this variable called game over. And then we're gonna store what level we're on. And of course, when we start the game, it's level 1. So we're gonna store 1 in the variable called level. Now, we need we're gonna make a function that allows us to set up our level. And what we're gonna do is, hold on one second. So hold on one second. I'm gonna answer Shannon's question. So what you should do is, if you already have that on the screen, then you should start off completely fresh with Pico 8. And the way you do it, you don't have to delete what you were doing yesterday. So if you started up with something yesterday, what you're going to do, so everybody hit Control S so you can save your work. That way, sure. Brenna wanted to know if I can pause after I type. I will definitely do that because I understand that sometimes I go a little fast. We're not going to finish the game, Jackson, today. We're going to finish it tomorrow. So right now, you should start off with a new Pico 8. And the way you do that is when you're back here, if you type reboot, then it starts Pico 8 over. Nobody do that right now except for Shanna. Okay, so I'll let everybody make sure they have all this typed in. If you have all that typed in, raise your hand. Good, lots of people have it done. Yes, now you typed that. So, but make sure you save it. Did you save it? If Shanna wanted to know if she types this in. Yes, you type this in, but also make sure you save it. Okay, looks like we have a lot of people who have it typed in. Good. I'm going to wait just a second, though, so other people can catch up. Because we have a lot to type today, so I want to make sure we get to all of it. Okay. So, yeah, the code just won't show up if you reboot. You have to, Ryan, rebooting was only if you need to start Pico 8 over. So if you started Pico 8 over, then you would have to, like, let's say, so when you go to hit save, if it says that you have not saved it yet, that means you have to go back out here and you have to type save coin race, because if you didn't do that at the beginning, it hadn't saved yet. So hitting Control S is like, oh, well, what's it saving? So you have to make sure you go in here where you have typed in save coin race, because if you didn't do that, then it won't have it saved yet. So you have to type that in and then hit enter, and then it will say saved. And then from that point forward, if you hit Control S, it will tell you, oh yeah, good, it's saved. I saved it. But then once you start Pico 8 back up, to get back to your game, to get back to what you've typed in, you type load coin race, and then it will load what you already have saved. And then once you hit escape, you'll see this again. Okay. And again, don't forget, if you get a little bit behind and you want to and it's a little too much, that's okay. No, it can be, Logan wants to know, does it have to be coin race? No, it doesn't. It can be anything else. But it just has to be, just make it one word for now, just one word. So if you get a bit behind and it's a little too much, that's okay. We are recording this and you can watch the recording later and kind of pause it whenever you want to. So, but we do have to keep going here because otherwise we're not going to have time to get to everything. So after draw, we need to make a function, our own function. Not a special Pico 8 function. This one's going to be called start level. And what we're going to do is we're going to run some instructions in this function every time we start a level. And we're not going to add to it now. We just want to have it there. So I'm going to say when we start the game, when a init happens, I want us to run this thing to start our level off. Okay. Make sure everybody gets that typed in there. That's awesome, Jaden. Jaden made a coin animation. I love it. Okay, cool. So now in the draw function, remember this happens 30 times a second. So what we're going to do is we're going to tell the draw function every 30 times a second, I want you to CLS, which means clear the screen out. That way it clears out anything old that we've drawn on the screen. If you typed in save Logan, if you typed in save city and hit enter and it said saved city.p8, then you're good. Now you can hit escape and you can type in what's on the screen here. Kanan, so you can't use functions before you define them, but Pico 8 has a bunch of functions already defined, and that's why CLS is already defined. And then start level. So Elijah and Kanan had a good question. So here I'm using start level, but way down here, that's where I'm defining it. So that's a good question, because if we haven't got to this part of the program, how can we use the function up here? Well, because Pico 8, the way Pico 8 works is it runs this function first, and then this function, and then this function, and it goes back and forth. But it knows about all of the functions that have been defined already. So it doesn't, even though, like, I could move this down to the end, and that would work too. In Pico 8, it doesn't matter if you have the function defined later. That's okay. I have this little line show up here just for you to see where the spaces are. You don't have to have that there. It's not something you have to type or anything like that. It's just a little thing that I added extra to Pico 8 to show you where I have a space there, because sometimes it's easy to forget that there's a space. Okay, so if everybody has this, now we need to go draw some map stuff, okay? So I want you to switch to the sprite editor, which is up here. And what we're gonna do is we're going to make a few different sprites. The first sprite we're gonna make is the player. Now I'm gonna make a player, and you can make whatever you want, but I'm gonna make a happy face person because I am good at that. So I'm gonna do that. And I've drawn this happy face so many times that I'm used to drawing it, but you can make your player look however you want. Now, one thing to remember is that any pixels that are black, you can see through them. So you'll be able to see the ground underneath this player if you have a black pixel. And maybe you'll add some shading on the side. You can make your player look however you want. I'm gonna add some shine over here. Maybe that look like that. Okay. So I want everybody to make a player sprite, and then Logan, I'll go back to the code in one sec so you can type it in. But I want everybody to make a player sprite, and then right after it, I want you to make a monster sprite that is, some kind of scary monster that's gonna come chase your player. I'm gonna make one that's a really simple one, but you can put whatever kind you want. This does not have to be just like mine. You can do whatever one you want. I'm just making a chunky guy here with a big mouth and glowing yellow eyes. Wow. He is, maybe I'll make tall eyes like that. That'll be my enemy sprite. So I want everybody to make both of these, and I'm gonna go back to the code. So Logan, so you can finish typing that in. But everybody make two sprites, a player sprite and an enemy sprite. And actually, you know what I'm gonna do, Logan, just to make this easier for you, I think, is, let me see if I can do this. I'm gonna try something. I'm trying this out, everybody. So if this messes up, you gotta cut me some slack. Whoa, that's really weird. Let's see, can I resize it at all? No, I can't. All right, 1 second. Let me Sorry, give me a sec, everybody. I'm trying something new and weird here. I don't know if this will work. Let me try one more time here. 1 second. Let me try one more thing here. Let's see if this works. Can I move that over here? There we go. You don't need to see my face, but I'm going to put that over here so you can see the code while we go and do more sprites. Okay. Hopefully that helps. Okay, so now that you have a player sprite and an enemy sprite, now we're going to go down here. We're going to make some grass. So I'm just going to pick green, and I'm going to use my paint bucket and go bloop, and I'm going to make green grass. Done. Easy. Now next to that, I'm going to go back to my pencil tool over here, and I'm going to make a box. I'm going to make it white on this side. I'm going to make it dark gray on this side. And I'm going to use my paint bucket tool. I'm going to fill it in. And then I'm going to maybe use my pencil tool again. And I'm going to maybe make it, maybe we'll go like this and then add like that, kind of make it look like it has a little dot thing on the top. Maybe we'll do this. Maybe we'll make it a little chunkier. There we go. Oh, it's like a wall. And then we'll add little grass things as if it's sitting on grass. There. Okay, so this is we have grass and we have a wall. I think that looks pretty good. Okay, good. So then now we need a coin. Now, I've made a lot of coins when I've been making games. So I feel like I'm pretty good at making coins. So if you don't have a lot of practice making coins, I mean, I can understand. Oops, I accidentally filled it with orange. I want to go back to my pencil tool. But I kind of like the coins that I've learned to draw in my time making games. And we'll see if you like it too, but all righty, let's see here. I'm going to make it like this. And then we're going to maybe put this in the middle and then yellow in the middle. And then I'm going to add some white on here so that it makes it look like it's shiny, like bling. And then maybe right there. I think that looks like a pretty good coin. I like it. Okay, so that'll be what we're trying to get to. Now I want you to remember, the player is at sprite number 1, okay? The enemy is at sprite number 2. The grass is at sprite 16. The wall is at sprite 17. And the coin is at sprite 18. And you don't have to remember those, but you should just recognize that these are at specific numbered spots. So the player is at number 1. Enemy is at number 2, grass is at 16, wall is at 17, coin is at 18. And just remember that these have numbers, okay? Because we want to be able to look at our map and know how those are, know what numbers these are. So once you've made these sprites, now you can move them after you make them. It's you can use copy and paste to copy them into new spots. But usually I just try to leave them where they are. Now, as I mentioned before yesterday, don't do anything with sprite 0. Leave sprite 0 alone because the map kind of uses sprite 0 like an eraser. So you can't really put sprite 0 on the map because it uses to erase other map spots. So that's why I put the player at number 1 and the enemy at number 2 and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so now that we have some sprites, let's go to our map and we're going to fill our map with green. And now you notice this isn't the whole map screen because we still have all this space under here. So how do we get to this space? Well, you can hold down the space key, and while holding down the space key, you can click and drag your mouse. You see how that works? So you hold down the space key and the grid shows up. When you let go, the grid goes away. When you hold the space down, grid shows up. While you're holding space down, click on the map and hold the button down. You got to hold the button down and drag upward. And then you see how there's these dots down here? That's really where the bottom of the screen is. So what I'm doing is I'm dragging it up until I can see where the bottom of this screen is. And then I'm going to use the pencil tool and I'm going to draw grass all the way across the bottom, all the way up here, and fill all that in too. I could also just go here and use the paint bucket to fill in with grass. But remember, you got to hold down space and drag it around. So now we have a whole screen of green. And you can use your mouse wheel or you can use the angle bracket keys, which are the less than and greater than keys right between the M and the question mark keys. You have to hold down Shift though. And if you use those keys, you can zoom in and out. And I'm only going to zoom out once so that I can move this and see it on my screen. That way I can see the whole screen on one screen. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my walls and I'm going to draw some walls. And I'm not, whoa, whoops. I used the paint bucket tool instead, and that was really bad. So I'm going to go back to the grass and fill it back with grass. And now I'm going to use my pencil tool. Now I'm going to draw with walls. And I'm just going to make a few walls. Nothing big. I'm just going to make, now remember we're zoomed out, so these don't look very good. I'm just going to make a few walls. Nothing special, nothing fancy, just a few walls so that we have something on our map. And if we use those zoom in and out, the zoom out, you can either use your mouse wheel or the angle bracket keys between the M and the question mark keys. You can hold down Shift and hit those angle bracket keys and it goes in and out. Angle bracket keys. Those are between the M and the question mark keys down on the bottom of the keyboard. Hold down Shift and hit those keys and you can go zoom in and out. So I'm going to go back zoomed in and I'm going to hold down space and drag my mouse around back up to the corner. So this is what our map is going to look like. It's kind of cool. It's not quite the same as like a Fortnite or CSGO map, but it works. Okay, so now we have a map. All right, so now we need to tell our code to draw the map when we run our program. So let's go do that. We're going to go back to our code. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of this part of the code now. Here we go. Now you can see me again. Okay, so back in our code, every time we draw, we're going to clear the screen. But then after we clear the screen, we're going to type in map. And that's a Pico 8 function that draws the map to the screen. Now at this point, if we run the game, you should see your map. So if I hit Control S to save, remember, Control S to save, don't lose anything. Control S, or if you're on a Mac, it's Command S. So Command S to save, or Control S. And then do Control R, or Command R if you're on a Mac. And you should see your map. It should just draw the map. And it's drawing it 30 times a second. It's clearing the screen and drawing it, clearing the screen, drawing it, clearing the screen, drawing it. And it's doing that 30 times a second, again and again and again and again and again. Because that's how these special Pico 8 functions work. The init, update, draw, update, draw. So it's clearing the screen, making the map. Really good. Okay, so now we, oh, I forgot one thing. Okay, so go back to your map. Everybody go back to the map, and I want you to go down to the bottom of the screen. And you see this bottom row? We're just going to erase the bottom row. If you mess up parts of your map, use this first sprite, because I messed up my part of the map. So I wanted to get rid of this bottom row. And oops, I zoomed in. So use this first sprite and you can draw. And see, it doesn't put that little sparkle there. It just erases. It's like an eraser tool. We're going to erase the bottom of the map. So really, we're only going to have the whole map plus a little bit extra in the bottom that's going to stay black. Okay, so if you've finished erasing that very bottom row of the map, now go back to your code. And this is what you should see. Okay, so now, oh, I forgot another thing. We need to make a coin sound. Let's go make a coin sound. That should be fun. So let's go over to the sound editor. That's this little play button here. And I want you to click on the speed until it's about 5. Okay? If you go too far, like let's say you keep clicking, oops, I went to 9. Just use your right mouse button and click, and it goes in the other direction. Or if you click and hold the mouse and then drag back and forth, it allows you to change the number. So I'm going to get it all the way back to 5. Logan, if you need to zoom out on the map, it's using the angle bracket keys between M and question mark. I'll put it in the answers because I realize I should be using the answers much more than I have been. I'm sorry about that. All right, hopefully this works. Okay, good. Jackson had a question. He said he made his map too big and you don't know where the area you see when you run it is. So if you're on your map and let's say you zoomed out and you're like, whoa, you're like way over here. The top corner, the top left corner is the corner that shows on the screen when you draw the map. So if you zoom in and you look at your map, it's the top left corner. You might have to drag for a while if you went really far, but it's the top left. If you're like way over here, you need to come back. But it's the top left corner is where the part that shows on the screen. So let's go back to the play tool. You should be on this instrument, the first one, the red one, and the speed should be at 5. And then I want you to put one little boink right there. And then another one, not right next to it, not like that. If you do that, you can erase it by taking its volume and bring it all the way down to nothing. I want you to skip one spot and put it right here, and then make a few of those. So they're all just exactly the same height. You can just draw straight across like this. And then down here for the volume, make this one really high. Then make this one start out high, and then you can just drag your mouse and draw. So it goes doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Logan, what's not working? And then once you've drawn this, hit the space key. Zoom out, you have to be on the map, and then if you zoomed out too far, you have to zoom in. But the angle bracket keys will let you zoom in and out on the map. But you have to make sure you're on the map, which is this little grid one here. And oh, you have to use the shift key. You can't just hit the keys themselves, because that's comma and period. You have to hold down shift to make it angle brackets. Okay, so if you made this sound, hit space, and you should hear a pretty cool video game coin sound like this. And this will be the sound it makes when you pick up a coin. Cool, huh? Okay. All right, so now let's go back here and let's go back, and now we need to start adding our player to the game, okay? And that's okay. If your sound doesn't sound exactly like mine, totally fine. You can actually make whatever sound you want for the coin sound. I just made that one because it's like everybody recognizes that as a coin sound. You could make it, you know, sound like boop, 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 boop. You know, that'd be totally fine too. All right, so let's go make our player. So what I want you to do is click this little plus symbol up top, right up here, and that makes another whole page of code right there. Another whole page of code. And when you're there, now I want you to put at the top, I want you to put -- player, and that's a note. That's called a comment when you're coding. And it's just, the computer doesn't think of this as an instruction. This is just, it knows that it's a note to you that this is what you're gonna have here. So we're gonna make a function called makePlayer. And then in that function, we're gonna make sure you type end and space in here. And then in that function, we're gonna make 3 variables. px, which is where is the player, you know, from left to right. And we're gonna start it at, I don't know, 2. 2 is a good spot. And py, which is another good spot. And then we have to tell it what sprite we want the player to use. So we're gonna do ps. And that's gonna be, remember, player sprite, the player sprite is number 1. So in here, we're gonna say the player sprite is number 1, okay? And this makes our player, this stores all the information about our player, where the player is and what sprite they are on, or what sprite to use to draw them, okay? Now, we need a function to draw the player. So we're gonna do draw player. And then in this function, we are going to tell, so one thing you should know, so we set players at 2, 2, okay? What that means is that on the map, the player is at 2, 2. Now, I want you to notice something. When I put my mouse over this spot, I want you to look down here in this, oops. Oh, I gotta change my tool here. Okay, wait, what's going on here? Sorry, one sec, my thing is. There we go. Now I have a pencil. Okay, so down here, this spot right here, you see where it says 2, 2? And when I move my mouse around the map, you see that number, how it changes? That's how we know what map tile is the player, is at that spot. So 2, 2 is right here. X is 2 and Y is 2. Now, if we put it over here, X is 13 and Y is 7. You know, because it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So we're at 7, 13. So 2, 2 is over here. 0, 0 is up in the corner. And all the way in the bottom corner is down here is 15, 14, because we're 15 tiles over and 14 tiles down. Okay. Hope that makes sense, everybody. Isabella, don't worry about the purple line next to the word. That's something that I turned on so that you can see that there's a space there, but don't worry. It's fine if there's no purple line. That's just me making sure that you can see that there's a space. Okay. So when we draw the player, we need to take the player and tell it to draw it at this location. But the problem is those map tiles are 8 dots across, 8 pixels across, and 8 pixels down. So they're 8 by 8. So really, if we're going to draw the player at 2, 2, we need to tell it, draw it 2 times 8 over here and 2 times 8 down. That way, it draws it that many dots down. So what we do is we tell it, use the pico8 function, SPR for sprite, okay? Oops, hold on one second. I accidentally turned off something here. Okay, there we go. Okay. So in sprite, we have to give it 3 numbers. We have to tell it which sprite to draw and where, how far over, and then how far down to draw it. So which sprite to draw? Well, we stored the player sprite in PS. So we say draw sprite PS. And then where do we draw it? Well, we can't tell it PX because that's 2. That's only 1 2 dots over. So we have to do 2 times 8. So 2 asterisk, 2 asterisk 8. The asterisk is a star symbol. That's, if you hold down shift and hit the 8 key, you'll see it on the keyboard. That makes that symbol. 2 times, or sorry, I don't mean 2 times 8, I mean px times 8. I'm sorry. Px is storing where is the player. So we multiply that by 8. Then we say py times 8. So this says every time you draw the player, draw this sprite, ps, and draw it at this location times 8 and this location times 8. And remember, we have to multiply it by 8 because this is showing what map tile the player is at, like over here. But sprites are drawn with pixels, like individual dots. So in order to get to that far over, we have to multiply it by 8 because each tile is 8 pixels wide and 8 pixels tall. So now that we have this, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a snapshot of this and I'm going to put it on my screen so that you don't lose it. Hold on, let me see if I can do this. I'm going to put it over here so that while I am over here, back here, you can still see that. So when we run start level, we need to make our player. So we're going to run that function, make player. Okay, so this will run that first function that we made over here. See where it says make player. That says run the function. And then, Elijah, I don't have time to get into how to turn those lines on right now. But for now, you can just ignore them. Then under draw, after we draw the map, now we can run our draw player function. And what that means is that first it'll clear the screen. This happens 30 times a second, okay? So it's going to clear the screen, then it's going to draw the map, and then it's going to draw the player. It's really important you put the draw player after you draw the map, because if you draw the player before the map, what happens is the player gets drawn and then the map gets drawn on top of the player, hiding the player. So we don't want that. We want the player to draw on top of the map. So if we save this, Control S or Command S, don't forget Command S or Control S to save, and then Control R or Command R, and we run it. Look at that. We can see our player right where it should be. Now we can't move it. Like if I hit the arrow keys, nothing happens. That's going to be the next step. Now, we don't have time today to add player movement, but I want to make sure that you get the chance to put the player movement in there. I'm gonna clear this out because I need to be able to see what I'm doing here. Okay, hopefully, okay, there we go. So I want you to be able to move the player. So what we're gonna have to do is in the player code up here, we're gonna need to add one more function called move player. And I'm going to give you that as a homework assignment, okay? And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to send all of you an email, the email that you signed up with this class with. So I will get that email from the person who's in charge of all the signups, and I will send you an email that that tells you, it has exact instructions on what to add to your code to add player movement, okay? And then your homework assignment is to add that code and get it running. And what I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna be making it a video so that you can pause it and write stuff and then unpause it, and then you won't have to worry about, wait, I didn't see that part, or this part's not working, right? You can go back and check it exactly. Ashi, if you can, yes, we're gonna keep working on this game tomorrow, so it's important you don't erase it or anything like that. Ashi, if your code's not working, what I want you to do is, and this is true for anybody, if you went to run your code, like let's say you went to go run your code and it was like, and it gives you an error like that. Okay, that's okay. That happens a lot. That happens to me, and I've been coding for 30 years, okay? When you start doing a lot of coding, you make errors all the time, and it's okay. It doesn't mean you're bad at coding. It just means you made an error, like spelling a word wrong. Okay, so I'm going to put my email address up on the screen here. And what I'm going to do is I will put it, oops, I got to move this. There we go. I'm going to actually save it and put it over here. There we go. I'll put it down here. How's that? Oh, that's looking weird. There we go. I'll put it right there. And then we'll go back to Pico 8. Okay, so that's my email address. If you have any questions, let me know. And yes, so someone had a question. If you reboot, how do you load a project again? Oh, to run the code, it's Control-R or Command-R. And you'll have to look on your code, Huntley, and see which sprite is your player. But for me, I put my sprite at player 1, or at sprite number 1. But for you, you have to just look. But if you have any problems with your code, you can email me at that address below. But I will send you a video. I will send the email this afternoon, so you'll have it. So you'll have this evening to be able to look at it, but and do the assignment. But it'll show you everything we did today, not just the one extra thing out. So if you missed anything today, you'll be able to follow the email. All right. So don't worry, you won't be able to. You won't have to worry if you missed anything or if something doesn't work right now. But to answer Kanan's question, if you reboot, how do you load the project again? I'm going to show you that right now. So if you've saved and hit Control-S and it's saved. So let's say I'm going to reboot and it starts up Pico 8 brand new. You just type load and then the name of the game that you saved before. So in this case, I saved it as Coin Race. So I type load Coin Race and I hit enter. And now if I hit escape, there it is. It's all back. Okay. Okay. So look for an email this afternoon at the email address that your parents signed up for the class on, and I will send you a link to a video that shows you exactly all the things we did today, plus how to add player movement, so that when we start up tomorrow, you will be all ready to go and you can go at it. Okay, and the video will be nice because then you can pause it whenever you need to. But we do have to end off because there's another class that's happening soon. So again, if you have any questions or you feel like you're stuck on something, just send me an email and I will be happy to help you out. All right, good work. We got a lot done, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye, everybody. Yes, I will run it real quick so you can see what we got done so far. Yeah, there is the there's this one. Okay. Bye, everybody.